Hi everybody, this is Laura Lee Waldorf and I'm here in Tucson, Arizona in a recertification program with Bonnie Pruden Myotherapist. And myotherapy, myo means muscle and therapy means to heal. And John is here as a seasoned myotherapist, and I was just wondering, John, how did you discover myotherapy?
Well, I could probably sum up my myotherapy experience with by two things: a J.C. Penney and a horse with a bad back. I know, what do those things have to do with one another? Well, I was raised on a farm in Indiana. My parents were divorced when I was quite young, and my family was in the grocery business. So I grew up bagging groceries throughout my whole life, and my mother moved to New York City to work for J.C. Penney. And when I was, I think I was a junior in high school, my mother was in a really bad car accident in New York City. And she had tremendous back pain. At the same time that happened, I was working for my father in the grocery business. Unhappily, I might add. We tended to be kind of at each other's throats all the time. And I think part of me was kind of looking for something else to do, but I didn't know what. But I knew I wanted to be in some type of profession that was going to be helping people, that was going to be serving people. And my mother at the time was greatly suffering. She was in so much back pain. She was through physical therapy. They couldn't find a surgical relief for her. And I just remember every time talking to her on the phone, she was just becoming more and more depressed. And she finally had to apply for an early retirement from J.C. Penney. And around that time, I have 4 older sisters. And one sister had seen a woman by the name of Bonnie Pruden on, I think it was 2020. And she told my mother, I think this woman might be able to help you, and that there's a therapist in the New York area. And I remember my mom saying she found this therapist she's going to get an appointment with. They're going to push on her muscles and they're going to stretch. And to be honest with you, I kind of rolled my eyes like, okay, I didn't know what my mom was trying at the time, but I knew how much she was suffering. And a couple of weeks later, she'd had 3 or 4 sessions, and she called, and I could tell something was different in her voice. And she said, I'm not wearing my brace anymore. And she said, I've canceled my early retirement. And I remember thinking, I couldn't understand how that could be. I mean, it just made no sense to me. And she said, and not only that, she said, I have called this organization in Massachusetts, Bonnie Pruden School, and I have arranged, if you would want to go have an interview, I will send you on a plane ticket to go to Stockbridge. You can go meet this woman and see if you want to go to school there. And I had no idea, but the only thing I knew for sure was I probably shouldn't stay in Indiana working with my father. That probably wasn't going to work too well. So I said, I will do it. So I flew to Stockbridge, Massachusetts. I met Bonnie Pruden. I was 17 at the time. And she said, well, you know, you're kind of young. And I remember when I went in to meet her, she was sitting in a room with her friend Enid, who was sitting next to her. And at the time, I was a competitive power lifter. And I remember I knew she was some kind of fitness lady. Oh my gosh, how wrong I was. Some kind of fitness lady. Yeah, right. So, but I remember I walked in the room and I tried to like keep my chest really strong, and I walked in and I said, hello, you know, I'm John Gifford. And she said, she had glasses on, she said, bend over and touch your toes. I said, what? She says, bend over, touch your toes. And I could only get to about my knees. And she says, you know, if muscle isn't functional, it's not worth anything. That's the first word she ever said to me. So I thought, this interview is not going very well. And she asked me what I wanted to do, and I just told her my situation at home, and I said, and she says, well, I don't know, you're 17, that's kind of young to take somebody. We usually don't take someone that young. And so finally I said, Bonnie, you don't have to let me come. I says, but if I go back home to Indiana to work with my father, within a year, one of us is going to be in jail for murder. And she said, I kind of know what that's like. And she says, why don't you come to school in the next session? And that's how it started. And so I went there, and now we're 30 years ahead. I think I just logged in I think I just passed 40,000 sessions. And it's been a wonderful career for me. I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I've always been grateful to Bonnie, and to be able to help people with my own hands has been a really great thing. And I think if anybody's interested in any type of career that you want to kind of have that feeling that you've taken something from your hands, and that you can say, you know, someone's life is a little bit better because of what you've done, this might be something to look at. It certainly has been that for me. So I'm really proud to be part of this career and of the Bonnie Pruden family.
Wow, that's an awesome story. And just to
well,
take
you're
something...
awesome. The person behind the camera is awesome.
Thank you, John.
She is the energy of this organization. I don't know if you've seen her yet, but you probably can tell just by her voice.
So with just to get a little bit of gist of what myotherapy really is, do you have to have equipment? Do you use oil or clothes off? Or?
I personally don't wear heavy equipment. People ask that all the time. It's kind of funny. You know, people come in and they'll say, you know, what do I have to wear? And the truth is, it's really whatever is comfortable. We have people who like to be draped in a sheet, and we have people who keep all of their clothes on. It really doesn't matter to us. We are prepared to handle whatever someone's comfort level is, whatever they like. But the great thing about myotherapy is, one thing that I think people really like is that if you're self-conscious at all, you can be incredibly effective working right through someone's clothing, which I think is just fantastic. It's one aspect about the work that I think is really great.
So the trigger points and the passive stretches makes it an active therapy, correct?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it also makes it a therapy that the person that you're kind of you have a partnership with your client. It's not something the therapist does you're doing it with someone. And that's something I really like as well, because you're kind of involved in a partnership, which I really like.
And one of the things too that differentiates myotherapy, besides the exercises, is the fact that you teach them to do it themselves.
Absolutely, and that's great that you can actually teach someone a skill that I think being empowered these days is such a big part of our culture, is self-help and becoming somewhat self-reliant and finding out what can we do for ourselves to help us feel more independent. And that's another thing that I think is fantastic about the whole Bonnie Pruden method. It's really geared about what can you do for yourself to help your own personal health care along the way.
So you would it sounds like you'd recommend this to be, if you're a career seeker, to be able to do myotherapy, and it's very feasible. You can probably go around the world, and it sounds like everyone needs this too.
I can't imagine someone who wouldn't benefit from the work.
Mm-hmm.
From doing the work or receiving the work.
It's a give and take, isn't it?
You got it.
I love it. So did you want to give us any contact information, or are you busy enough?
You know what? I would never turn away new work, but if anyone wants to get in contact with me, you can always find me at motionwise.com. The word motionwise, one word, .com. Everything can be found there.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, John Gifford. I remember you working on horses and demonstrating on horses. So this works on animals too. It
does. I'll tell you, the hardest thing with horses that really became a problem for me was being able to find a really good way to get them on the table. That was...
Being those horses.
That really became a challenge. Actually, it is true. I used to travel to Kentucky and work, and even in Michigan, we worked on a lot of professional hunters and jumpers. But the practice right now is really limited to my two-legged friends. So.
Okay, well, we appreciate it, that's for sure.
We appreciate you, Laura Lee Waldo.
Well, thank you, John. I hope that's still your name.
Yeah, that is
Everybody's
my name changes.
Yeah, I keep my own. So I say love life and life will love you back, and you are a good example of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye for now.